What's up, Sterile Processing Universe? It's Hank Balch here, back in studio with Matthew Richardson, talking about real estate investing in sterile processing. We've had a lot of great episodes to date, so if you're jumping in at the middle of this, go back to episode 1 when you get a chance and follow us through, because we laid the foundation. We've been talking about some good concepts, some mistakes that are made out there. But this episode in particular, I'm really excited about, because we're going to be talking about some lessons learned from Matthew's actual investing experience out there. So Matt, welcome back to the show today.
Thank you.
Kick us off. Obviously, we're talking about these topics because we want to encourage people and equip people to get out there and do some investing. But, everyone's always like, but what's it really going to be like? Understand, like, reading a book, you hear it in a podcast. But when I actually go out and do these things, what is not going to go according to plan? What am I going to learn along the way? And how is that going to help me be better in the future? So talk about maybe one of those experiences that sticks out to you that you've gone through.
Yeah, sure. And just as a side note, there's a common phrase from agents, and that's if we don't feel like we've lost the deal at least 3 times in the process of it, it's not a good deal. Um, so, so changing and learning along the way is just part of real estate. One I would say my first investment property, I learned the most, which is to be expected, right? And a few key things I learned in that. I was in a newer market than I was used to. Growing up, the only properties I knew were properties on a slab, and I was in a market where everything has a basement. And I learned a few things that I missed in the process of the inspection in the basement when I came home, and it was about a foot of water in it. And then in addition to that, uh, the next day my wife was walking on the main level, and she said, "Does this floor feel like it's about to fall in?" And I kind of jumped on it, and the floor was kind of bouncing. And so we immediately looked at each other and thought, that's not cheap. um, and so we went into the basement, and what we realized was that the main structural beam had about 30% of the posts that it needed. And they weren't up to grade, and one of them was rusted at the bottom, looked like it could crack at any moment. So how I missed 2 main beams not being up to code sounds like simple. You should recognize that. But if you don't know the building code, you don't know. You just see a post. And so that ended up being a $4,000 repair for us. Could have been 10,000. I actually had a friend come in and fix the waterproofing issue, but $4,000 repair to install some structural beams. And then I went back and I considered, how did I miss this? And then I remembered my agent viewed this property for me. And my agent was present at the inspection, and former agent, but she's really great and does her job. But what I've learned is that me and agents do not have the same interests. I need to protect long term money. They need to make a sale to eat, and so there was a main structural beam hidden in the closet that had fallen down. It showed up in the inspection photos, but no one saw it because of the lighting until retroactively I looked back and knew to look for it. So I guess two practical things I've learned in that regard is don't rely on the home inspector to point out high level issues. Read through and analyze what they've written and taken pictures of. They'll alert you of some high level issues, but they won't hit everything. And two, you and your agent have a shared interest, but not a common interest. You have a shared interest in that you want to purchase a home, they want to sell a home through you, but your interests are a little different in that process. They get paid for selling a home, you get paid for buying a home that fits all your criteria. And so there's a little bit of a conflict that you have to learn to negotiate. But yeah, those are the two things I learned in that process.
Yeah, that story is really interesting because it highlights a temptation, I think, especially as Americans, that we have is to trust the experts. We think, hey, this agent, it's their job. They see houses all the time. They're always showing houses. They should know if it's a good house or not. And then, especially this inspector, this is what they
Hmm.
do. This is what they get paid to do. They're the expert. If there's anything that's really bad, they're gonna let me
Yep.
know. And your story is, well, yeah, but not completely. And the goal, and this goes back a thread now through all these episodes, is to become your own expert and then be present with your own interest involved in that whole process. So I think that's a terrific call out and highlight here.
I was just going to say as an encouragement to the listener, that's our highest profitable deal. So don't hear it and be scared. We found ways around it, and it's bringing in the most money. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point of information to add there, because we could have ended on, and this was just bad, and the lesson was don't do that again. But don't do it again. But now that Matthew has shared that, you can learn through those lessons, and that's why I think it's so important. But like we said, all the way back in episode 1 or 2, consume content from the network of investors that's already out there doing these things, and talk to people. I think the phrase you use is those people that are like 2 steps ahead of you, and glean from their lessons so that you don't have to
yeah,
repeat the same mistakes again. But yeah, let's wrap it on
yeah,
just lessons learned for this episode. I think that's a great takeaway, and this is a great addition to the series. We'll come back now with the following episode talking about the role of financing in all of this. If you remember back episode 1, Matthew said, "Hey, I got started here with $400 in my bank account," which probably means you utilize some financing out there from somewhere. So we'll talk about like how that all plugs into these conversations, how you can use it as a tool, but also what to maybe be aware of to the downside or the challenges around financing. But before we do that, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in to this series. If you like the series and you like what you're hearing, please let us know. We love good positive feedback. If you hate the series, you can let us know that too, and we'll try to modify it to meet your needs. But if you have some specific questions around real estate investing that you'd like to ask Matthew, connect with him on LinkedIn, Matthew Richardson. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode and encourage you, like we do all the time here at Beyond Clean, keep fighting dirty.
It's your special day, 'cause you're getting that big raise. No errors in the surgical trays. Yeah, you keep everybody safe. You should get all the moolah, the smackers, the Benjamin's cabbage. So that's why I'm happy to say you deserve it. Yeah, you earned it for your hard work. Yeah, lives at stake. You keep us safe. Fighting dirty, never complain. The real MVPs are certified. Yeah, it's time you got a raise. So it's your payday. 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 Sterile processing technicians, you're even greater than our wishes. You make sure every